Hey, Mimi, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but for some reason, I don't know if you saw my text. We can't hear you at all. I don't know. There's something wrong with the sound. I was able to hear you earlier, but
I've done nothing different.
oh, now I can hear you so well. I don't know if it's because that's so strange, but I was on Facebook and you sound very far away and muffled for some reason.
Now I'm standing. Let me sit down and try.
Okay.
So now I'm sitting and talking. Oh, I'm hearing all kinds of echo too.
You hear good. You sound good to me. Hold on, let me see it on the live. Anyone watching? Sorry, we're just working out some technical stuff.
So now I'm go ahead and talk. Oh, I'm hearing all kinds of echo too.
You hear good. You sound good to me. Hold on, let me see it on the live. Anyone watching? Sorry, we're just working out some technical stuff. Okay, can you talk now for a sec? Just say, if you think.
Yeah, I'm talking right now. Can you hear me? Hi, everyone. Sorry about this. If you're watching live, just trying to get the sound quality a little bit better.
Okay, you sound better now. I'm not sure what was wrong, but sorry to interrupt. Please carry on. Sounds a lot better now. I don't know what happened, but yay, carry on. Have fun.
Okay, I did nothing different. All right, everybody, sorry for that interruption. We can skip the grounding and hope that it comes along as we move, because we can definitely find ways to quiet the mind and ground into our practice through movement as well. Okay, so if you're sitting on something, go ahead and come off of it and set it aside. And you're going to bring your feet together in front of you. And you can bring the soles of your feet together. And you don't need to have them real close into your groin. You can have them slightly forward so that there's a little bit less tension in the inner thighs. And then go ahead and hold on to each ankle with your hands. You're going to tug on your ankles in a way that allows you to rock forward and pull your shoulders back. And then exhale and allow yourself to roll backwards. Inhale, tug on your ankles and rock your pelvis forward. And then exhale and roll yourself back. And then just do that a few more times. Let the pelvis rock forward and backwards. Open up the front body and open up the back body. So if you're familiar with cat-cow, this is sort of a cat-cow type of action. And then come on up. Good. Bring your hands behind you and open your feet nice and wide. So you want to have your hands close enough behind you that you're fairly propped upright. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to drop your knees to one side and look over the opposite shoulder. And then come on up and drop your knees in the other direction and look over the opposite shoulder. And then come on up. And then just go back and forth like that. So have your feet wide enough that your legs aren't falling on top of each other, but your legs are in this kind of staggered position as they drop down towards the floor. And if you find that your behind is doing a walk up to your heels, just scoot it back. I know mine always does. Good. And then next time your feet are planted and your knees are wide, go ahead and drop your legs down to the right and sit yourself upright. You're going to plant into your right hand. Bring your left hand to your hip. And we're just going to do some small, subtle movements in that hip. So you're going to exhale and ground that half of your buttocks down towards the floor. And then inhale and roll your hip forward and take a peek over your left shoulder. And go ahead and exhale, sink the hip to the floor. And inhale, slide the hip forward and look over your shoulder. And then do it a few more times. So just beginning to find a little bit more mobility in the hip. And then the next time you rock your hip forward, go ahead and take that left hand to meet your right hand. I'm just going to rotate a little bit on my mat so you can see me more clearly. And you're going to walk your hands to the outside of that right hip. Stay up on your palms. Use them to leverage yourself into a slightly deeper twist. And then come on down, if you can, to your forearms. If coming down to your forearms is challenging, you might go ahead and find that block or that book or whatever it is that you chose to use and bring it under your forearms for a little bit of lift. You can let your head go. Take a couple breaths, even though there might be quite a bit of pressure on your belly. See if you can find a nice smooth breath. Take a few more moments here. And then come on up to your palms. We're going to come around to the center, plant your feet on the floor, make sure that they're nice and wide, and then drop your knees over to the left. That plants into your left hand, bring your right hand to your hip, and we're going to do that small movement of the hip up and down. So go ahead and try to seal that half of your buttocks to the floor, and then rock it forward and look over your shoulder. And go back and forth. A few more times. Good. And then next time you rock your pelvis forward, keep it there. Again, I'm going to swivel a little bit so you can see more clearly. You're going to take your right hand to meet your left hand. Walk yourself around in a semicircle over that left thigh. You can stay right here on your palms, or you might come down onto your forearm. And take a few breaths. Another couple moments here. And then come on up. Good. And we're going to come into a child's pose. So go ahead and find your way onto hands and knees. And we're going to take a wide-legged child's pose. So bring your big toes together, open your knees wide, sit your hips back, and then bow your head forward. And if your head doesn't reach the floor, feel free to bring a block underneath. Take a few big breaths into the back body. Emptying and filling, slow and steady. And then begin to walk both hands over to the right. Curving the spine, finding some length. Feel free to reach forward a little bit more with that left hand as you sit back, more fully in that left hip. And then come through the center and over to the other side. So curving the spine, bringing the forehead towards the floor. Sit back a little bit more fully into that right hip. Reach forward a little bit more with that right hand. Settling into the shape for a few breaths. And then come on back to the center and find your way to a tabletop. Spread your palms wide, hands under the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And we'll come into a more traditional cat-cow now. So inhaling and tipping the pelvis forward, opening up the heart and the chest and the throat. And then exhaling and rounding, and we're reaching the back of the heart towards the floor. Inhale, tilt the pelvis forward, pull the shoulders back, broaden across the heart and chest. And exhale, push the floor away, reach the back of the heart towards the ceiling and round. Do it a few more times. Maybe with eyes closed so that you can feel more intensely what's going on inside the body. And then come to a neutral spine. You're going to walk your hands forward of your shoulders, spread your palms wide, and just begin to swing the hips around. And you can have your circles be really big and free, or you might have your circles be a little bit more refined. And if you feel a place in the body that feels tight or like it needs a little extra attention or stretching, go ahead and linger there and kind of work it out. And then walk your hands back just a touch. They'll still remain slightly in front of the shoulders. You're going to tuck your toes under and lift your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Spread your palms wide. And just begin to pedal your feet. Rocking the hips side to side. Feeling that deep stretch to the back of the body. Still warming up. Maybe the mind's still taking its time to settle and let go of whatever else is going on in your life, whatever you were doing before you came to your mat. And then lower your knees and find a child's pose again. So the big toes will come together, the hips will sit back, and you'll bow your forehead down. And then come on up to a tabletop once again. And you're going to send your left leg back in the air. Pause here, push through your heel. And then if you'd like, bring that right arm forward. Hold steady. Few moments. Go ahead and then lower your right hand. Bring the ball of your left foot to the floor. Push through your heel. Take a couple moments just stretching out the back of the leg. You might pulse through the heel. And then pressing steady in the left hand, we're going to twist to the right. So bring your right arm up towards the ceiling. Just a moment. You can always wrap that hand around your back. And then lower your hand down. You're going to keep that left leg extended behind you. Push through your heel. Try to keep your body as still as possible, but sneak that right leg back. Come into a high plank. Hold for a couple of breaths. One more moment. And then downward facing dog. Send your hips back. Pedal your feet. And take a few moments. Good. Drop your knees. Sit your hips back. And find a child's pose. So just give yourself a break. Alternately, you might sit upright and give your wrists a little bit of a break or a little bit of love, swirling them around, opening and closing the palms. And then we'll come to the other side. So come on up into a tabletop. And once you find yourself steady, oh, here's my cat paying us a visit. This is Alma, everybody. She's just woken up from her day-long nap to come join us. So go ahead and send your right leg back. And reach your left arm forward. Pause here. Few more breaths. And then lower your left hand and lower the ball of your foot. Push through your heel of your right leg. It stays extended. And then press into your right hand and we're going to twist to the left. Take one more breath here. And then lower your hands. Plant through both hands, push through your right heel. And you're gonna step back to a plank again. Holding. Few breaths. And then send your hips back for downward facing dog. And then begin to walk your feet towards your hands. Soften your knees and just come into a forward fold. So you're just going to hang down over your thighs. Let your upper body drape downward. Let your head be heavy. Let your neck be long. Take a few more breaths. And then roll yourself up. And once you have come to your feet, I'm just going to switch the angle of my camera a little bit now that we're up on our feet so you can see the length of my body a little bit more clearly as we come into this standing part of our practice. So bringing hands to your heart, ground into your feet, and then bring a hand to your heart and a hand to your belly. My cat liked it better when we were on the floor. Close your eyes and just take a few breaths. Good. Relax your arms down. We're going to come on up to the very front of our mat, so the short edge of your mat. And it's a good time to grab your blocks or grab your books or whatever it is that you're using underneath your hands. And then bring your feet together and bring your hands together. We're going to come into what's called half sun salutation. If it's new to you, just follow along. Inhale, let your arms sweep high and wide. Exhale, soften your knees and bow down to the floor. Press your hands mid-shin, reach the crown of your head forward. And exhale, fold down. Inhale, sweep your arms high and wide, reaching. And exhale, hands to your heart. And we'll do it again. Inhale, let your hands sweep up. And exhale, bow all the way to the floor. Inhale, reach the crown of the head forward, hips go back. Exhale, and fold. Inhale, sweep your arms high and wide. And exhale, hands together at the heart. This time we're going to do the same thing, but we're stepping the left foot back into a lunge. Sweep your arms up. And exhale, bow forward. Inhale, reach the crown forward. And then you'll bring your hands to the floor, your books, your blocks, and step your left foot back. Good. Press your hands into their support. Reach the crown of your head forward and push through your heel. Take a couple moments here. One more breath. And then drop your knee down. Good. You can untuck the back toes. Bring your hands to your hips. Find stability in the legs, stability in your base. And then slide your hips forward. You can stay right here, or you might sweep your arms up. Pausing here, a couple of breaths. One more moment. And then as you exhale, bring your hands to your support, maybe the floor. You're going to rock your hips back, flex your front foot. I'll move the block so you can see what my leg is doing in case you're new. And then with a straight front leg, bow yourself forward. A little time. Good. And then climb yourself back up. You're going to rebend your knee. And then take your blocks, take your books, put them outside your hips. Bring your hands to your hips, come upright, and then slide your hips forward. Reach your arms up. And then you're going to begin to reach for the block with your left hands, lowering it to the block and leaning over to the left. Take another moment. Good. And then as you come up, reach both arms up for a moment. And then it's the right hand that finds the block. Reach yourself up and over. Keep your hips tracking forward. Good. And then both arms are going to circle up. And then bring them to the inside of that right foot. Pull your hips back. Slide the right leg back. And let's find a child's pose. Bring the hips back to the heels. Bow the forehead down. And take a few breaths. And you might find that this feels really good after the deeply asymmetrical movement of the lunges. Might feel good to just have everything back in alignment, symmetry. All right, let's come on up into a tabletop again. Walk the hands forward of the shoulders, tuck the toes under, and lift the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Take a little time here. And then begin to walk your feet up towards your hands. Pausing in your forward fold for just a moment. And then a big sweep of the arms brings you all the way up, arms reaching. And then join your palms together right at the center of your heart. Take a big breath in through the nose. And then let it out with a big sigh. Step your feet together, step on up to the very front of your mat if you're not already there. And we'll begin again for the other side. So inhale, let your arms sweep up. And exhale, pour yourself forward. Inhale, hands to the center of the shins, reach the crown of the head forward. And then as you release, hands come to the floor, or your blocks or books. And it's the right foot that's going to step back. Pause in your lunge with your knee up off the floor for just a breath or two. And then the knee settles down. Bring your hands to your hips and come upright. Good. Sink your hips forward, feeling that big stretch to the front of that right thigh. And then if you'd like, bring your arms up along your ears. Take another breath or two. Good. And then the hands come down to find the floor, find your supports, and pull your hips back, flex your front foot, and straighten that leg. Keep reaching the heart forward, keep flexing the foot. Good. And then as you begin to lower that foot down and bend the knee, walk your blocks or supports back. Bring your hands to your hips, and then we'll slide the hips forward. So go ahead and sink hips forward. Reach the arms up. And then that right hand is the first one to find the block. Reach up and over to the right. Keep the hips sinking forward. Another breath. Good. And then both arms reach up and over in the other direction, long through the side bend. One more moment here. And then both arms up and to the inside of your foot. Pull your hips back, bring your leg back, and find another child's pose. Sit the hips back and bow forward. And then finding your way to a tabletop once again. Walk your hands forward of your shoulders, tuck your toes under, and let's find downward facing dog. And then walk your hands and feet towards one another. Not bend your knees quite a lot and just allow yourself to drape. And then pressing into your feet. Let your arms go high and wide. Circle them up and overhead. Step your feet together if they're wide. And draw your hands in at your heart. And then once again, let's take that hand to the heart, hand to the belly. Feel into the soles of your feet. Notice if your mind has been distracted or elsewhere. And if so, maybe take this as an opportunity to welcome yourself back to your practice. Welcome yourself back to your mat. And then release your hands down. Then go ahead and turn to the side of our mat. So you can turn to the longer side, like you see my mat now, and open your feet really wide. So aim for something like the length of one of your legs so that your legs and the space in between them form an equilateral triangle. All right. Bring your hands to your hips. You're going to rotate your right foot to face the short edge of your mat. And then rotate your left foot just a little bit in that direction as well. Keep your left hand on your hip. Reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. And you're going to lean backwards into the support of that left hand. Keep your legs straight. Keep reaching. Keep lengthening. You can gaze wherever it's comfortable for your neck. And then come on up. You're going to reach forward with that right hand as you send your hips backwards, pushing them into your left hand. Maybe hang out here for a moment, suspended. And then lower your hand down. Good. Roll your left shoulder, left elbow back. Maybe look over that shoulder towards the ceiling. And then if you'd like, you can reach that arm up towards the ceiling, coming into triangle pose. And then inhale. And come on up. Good. We're just going to rotate our feet so that we spin and do this over to the left. Go ahead and bring your right hand to your hip. Reach your left arm towards the ceiling. You're going to give a little push with your right hand and then lean back into that support. Keep your legs straight and strong. Gaze wherever it's comfortable for your neck. And then come on up. You're going to begin to shift your hips back and reach and reach and reach. And then lower your hand down. Rotate your shoulder and your elbow back. Maybe you gaze over your right shoulder. And then reach that right arm towards the ceiling. Take another moment here. And then come on up. Rotate your feet to the very side of your mat. Bring your hands to your hips. Press into your feet. Reach through the crown of your head. Take a big inhale. And as you exhale with a nice flat spine, begin to bow. And bring your fingertips to the floor, or maybe you bring your fingertips to support of some kind. Pause here for a couple of breaths. Turn your heels in slightly and your toes out. And you're just going to begin to bend from side to side. So bend into your right knee and look at your left toes. And come through the center and bend into your left knee and look at your right toes. And just go back and forth like that a few times. Side to side. Back and forth. And then pause in the center. And the next time you're bending over to the left, you're just going to walk your hands around so that you come into a lunge and then step back to a downward facing dog. And then lower your knees to the floor. Bring your big toes together and sink your hips back. And if that turned you around so that you're now facing the back of your mat, you can go ahead and spin yourself so you face the front. It's hard not seeing folks in the way that you're oriented. Take a few more moments. And then we're going to make our way onto our belly. Just go ahead and lower yourself down. You might take your hands underneath your forehead for a moment. Just shake out your legs, maybe wobble your hips some, so the body nestles more fully onto the floor. And then bend your knees and just swing your legs from side to side. Now I'm going to adjust the camera again now that we're back on the floor. Again, so you can see a little bit more clearly. Good. And then square off your chin or your forehead so it's level with the floor. Bring your hands so they're right outside of your shoulders. Draw your elbows in, reach long through the legs. And then you're going to lift the heart and the chest into a cobra, but try to do it without pushing into your hands. So loop your shoulders back. Tap into the strength of your back and allow that to be what lifts your heart. Keep the collarbones wide. Keep the breath flowing. Might be hard. And lower down. Bring your hands underneath your forehead. And then keep your left hand there. And reach your right arm forward straight in front of you. You're going to press into your pelvis. Press into your left arm. And with your next inhale, you're going to lift the left leg, the right arm, and the chest. Hold. And then lower down. Bring your right hands underneath your forehead. Stretch your left arm long. And we're going to do the same thing the other side. So you're going to reach long through your legs and then float your right leg, reach your left arm, lift your chest. Take another moment. Hands lower, hands under your shoulders, hips back to your heels for child's pose. Take a couple of breaths. Good. And we're going to make our way onto our back. So go ahead, clear your space, and come onto your back. Have your feet planted firmly on the floor, bending your knees, arms by your side. And just take a moment to feel the back body settle. And then walk your feet closer towards your behind so that you can maybe even graze the back of your heels with your fingertips. Have your feet about shoulders width distance apart. Nose is going to point straight up towards the ceiling. And we're just going to lift up and lower down a few times. All right. So you're going to inhale, push into your feet, lift the back body up, lift your pelvis towards the ceiling, chin comes or chest comes towards your chin. And then lower down as you exhale. Let the whole body land. And then again, inhale, push into your feet, lift your pelvis up, bring your chest towards your chin, and lower down. If you'd like, next time you do this, you might lift your pelvis up and sweep your arms overhead to the floor behind you. And then as you lower down, lower the arms in sync with the back body. Do it a few more times, experimenting and feeling. Move with the rhythm of your own breath rather than my count and my rhythm. And from wherever you're at, do it 2 more times. And then let the whole body rest for a moment. Okay. We're going to stay in this shape. Make sure your heels are close to your behind. And then with each hand, grab hold of the side of your mat. Go ahead and take a fistful of mat in each hand. And then see if you can kind of wrap your shoulders in. So draw your shoulder blades in closer together underneath you. And this time, you're going to pull on the mat towards your head. And as you do that, lift up into your bridge again. So pull the mat with all your might and lift your pelvis up. Maybe you get a little bit higher than before. Walk your shoulder blades towards one another, wrapping them underneath you. Pull the mat harder, lift a little bit higher, and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Settle the backside down. Release your hands. Let everything get quiet and still. And then draw your knees in towards your belly. Rock some side to side. Good. And then lower your feet to the floor. You're going to take your left leg and send it up towards the ceiling. Good. And just take a moment to circle your ankle and wiggle your feet. Go ahead and bring your hands behind your thigh. And you're going to go ahead and push your thigh towards your hands and have your hands pull as hard as they can in the opposite direction. So you're pushing and pulling, pushing and pulling. And then let up on that some. And begin to walk your hands up your leg and draw your leg in. Lift your head and shoulders. Take a few breaths. And then slowly walk down your leg and cross your left ankle over your right thigh. Pick up your right foot and then hold on behind your thigh. Coming into a bit of a hip stretch. And if you can't join your hands behind your thigh, you can always hold on to the left ankle or shin, or you can take a piece of cloth or something behind your thigh to make your arms a little bit longer or your grip a little bit easier. Take a few more breaths. And then slowly release that right foot down towards the floor. Bring your arms out like a T. And then walk your right foot over to the right. And then just allow your legs to fall down to the left. And allow the legs to just drop so you're not pushing or shoving them down towards the floor. And just letting them drop, letting them heavily work their way to the floor. Take about 3 more breaths. And then you'll inhale your legs back up, uncross them, and then stretch your legs long and stretch your arms overhead. And you can circle your ankles, circle your wrists, and then hug both knees in towards your belly. Just rock a little bit side to side. And then lower the left foot to the floor and just shoot your right foot straight up towards the ceiling. Maybe you feel a little bit of tension in the back of the thigh. And you can point and flex your foot a little. And then bring your hands behind your thigh. Have your thigh push against your hands and your hands pull back. And then begin to lift your head and shoulders and walk your hands up your thigh, up your leg. As you lift your head and shoulders, draw your leg in, coming into a deeper stretch in the back of the leg. And then slowly slide back down. You're going to take that ankle across the left thigh, rotate your thigh outward, and then you're going to lift your foot and take hold behind that thigh. And again, if you can't get that grip, maybe you take a strap or even a washcloth or any piece of cloth so you can just have your hands wider and still have that support behind your thigh. Or you could hold on to your pants or your ankle, whatever it takes. We want to be getting that stretch and that opening to the right hip by pulling the left thigh in against the ankle, whatever it takes to get there. And then lower that foot down and walk your foot over to the left and drop your legs down to the right. Keep that ankle crossed over the thigh. Let your legs be heavy as they drop. The arms might be out in a T. They don't have to be. And then inhale and come on up. And uncross your legs, scoot yourself back so you're centered in your mat. We're going to come into what's called Shavasana. So Shavasana is just a period of rest at the end of the yoga practice. So you can do that with legs extended and your arms resting by your side. You could pull your knees in and then set your feet down to the floor if that's kinder on your lower back. You can always come to sit in a chair and close your eyes and do a little seated meditation. That's what feels right in your body. Wherever you choose to land, just take some time to come into stillness and see what emerges. Allow your breath to be soft and sweet. And see if you can bring your mind to a place where it echoes the stillness of your body. And we'll stay here for just about 2 more minutes. You're lying on the floor, allow your body to sink into its support. And taking just a few more breaths. And then begin to allow your sense of awareness to broaden. You're taking in some of the sounds in your home or maybe out on the street. Hear some birds right now, some crickets through the windows. Maybe noticing, even with your eyes closed, or maybe you open them just a little bit, how the quality of light has shifted as the sun begins to set. And then eventually you'll draw your knees in towards your chest. Take a moment, this last opportunity, to rock from side to side. And then draw yourself up to a seated position. And once you come to a seated position, take your time. Make sure you're comfortable, make sure your spine is long, your heart is open. Your body has the support it needs. Allow your hands to come to your lap, just like in the beginning of class. Maybe if you started with your palms down, you give it a try and you turn your palms towards the ceiling. See how that feels. And then just notice how your body feels at the end of this hour. And if it feels better, know that you gave yourself that gift. It's available to you at any time. All of these practices are recorded. You could go on to the ThunderWell site or go on to their YouTube channel and do these practices anytime that you feel a need for them. And let's go ahead and join our hands together at our heart in prayer position. Bringing the palms together in a symbol of unity between the body, mind, heart. The acknowledgement that we function at our best when all three of those parts of our being are in alignment. And hopefully this practice tonight brought you there, brought you a little closer to there. And we'll just close out with a deep bow of gratitude to ThunderWell, to one another, and to everything that this yoga practice has to offer. And thank you very much for being here tonight. And I hope I'll see you again soon. So these practices are the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of the month. So join me in the beginning of November. I think it's September. Jumping ahead, September 9th. Have a great couple of weeks. Bye-bye.